welcome to episode 136 of The Greywoodieshow, your home for all things pipe, tobacco, pens, life, and everything in between. I'm your host, Nathan Davis, joined as always by my numbed co-host, Eugene Falco.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how are ya?
Numbed. My brain's fried out.
Yep, we're coming to you almost live on IPSD, by which we mean we record on IPSD and we put it out on a regular date.
Yep. So, those of you that listened to the ISPD, IPSD, whatever that is.
IPSD,
know why this episode is the way it is.
Yep. We maybe thought it would be about half as long as it was, but it was not.
Nope.
This week we'll have pipe maker struggles and some love for lacquer.
Fantastic. Those are my two favorite topics of conversation.
Your life being difficult and things that you care so much about. Yeah. Got it all in one. This episode is brought to you by the Tethered Ghost combo that was already in my bag because we weren't planning on recording this right now, but we're here, so we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm smoking a K-Woody Red Root Rhodesian, probably also the same pipe as the last episode that came out in order, and not the one with Alan that came out in the middle. And but I did change up the tobacco. Thank you, Rob, for reminding us that you sent us some awesome gifts. And now that we're not pre-recorded, we're getting into some of that. So I have some Samuel Gowith Full Virginia Flake, FVF as it's known, from October 14th, 2018. So nice. I don't know what year it is. I was going to tell you how old this is, but I don't actually know what year it is. 25?
What year this is right now that we're in? Yeah, I believe it's 2025.
All right. So like the golden standard 7-year age on this tobacco, which is what some pipe podcasts say is the perfect amount for a Virginia flake. Not this one. There is no perfect amount of anything. Everything is subjective. But yeah, so 7-year-old FVF, lit it a little while ago. It is as wonderful as I hoped. I'm guessing you do not like the room note. You've never been a big straight Virginia fan.
I don't mind it today, but it's because my room note sniffer is burnt out from Backwoods Grape cigars.
Mm-hmm. Which you were going to save for the show, but then instead we had our fun IPSD Zoom come get in the way and let the cat out of the bag early that they were not to your liking.
Do you want to do a quick recap of what actual business was talked about?
The major announcements from the United Pipe Clubs of America regarding the Chicago Pipe Show and the National Slow Smoke Contest. First off, we got Greg from Merchant Service to provide a wonderful sandblasted, oversized straight billiard that he was so great at explaining that it has a briar stummel and a stem and an airway.
Mm-hmm. All the things that I like about a pipe.
Yeah. So we had some trouble getting the right amount of tobacco in a couple of different ideas and wound up going with a wonderfully oversized 0.8 and change inch wide diameter that's just under 2 inches deep. So a nice big hefty bear killing pipe.
Yeah.
And the tobacco provided from Yvonne Rees is the Stillman mixture, which unfortunately was being made by Sutliff Tobacco. So we have the last of the Stillman mixture being used. You can order ahead of time to practice for the slow smoke, and then they set some aside to make sure we have it at the contest. Hopefully a couple of tins as prizes for the people who win. Kind of a last opportunity to get that tobacco. The contest manager this year is none other than our esteemed co-host over there, Eugene.
That's me. That's my name.
Yep. Who we're hoping can breathe some fresh air into the contest and try to make the spectator side a little bit more fun again, something we've been moving toward as the UPCA for a while. And I think part of the reason you were chosen as the contest manager was whenever we asked for ideas on how to liven up the contest, you were the first one to come forward with ideas.
I know. Yeah, it's all my fault.
Yeah, you kind of dug that hole for yourself.
I did. That's okay. It's a good hole to dig.
But yeah, so you're actively working on plans and ideas and coming up with ways to make it fun to watch so that people keep competing and people keep crowding around to watch it happen.
Well, I'm actively animating a goat right now.
True.
To circle back to the pipe announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Though the pipe is of the bear killing variety, it is twink friendly.
Very true. And if you go to the UPCA website, we'll have the announcement about the pipe. You can pre-register for the event. It really helps the UPCA get a feel for what we need and what we're doing for the contest. Mm-hmm. So if you are so inclined, please do pre-register for the event. It really does help us with cash flow and planning purposes.
Yep.
And if you go to Yvonne Ree's website, you can find the Spillman mixture. And I felt like there was one more thing I was going to throw in there. Pre-register. Go ahead, do that. Buy yourself a sweet merchant service pipe in advance. Mm-hmm. You'll get it at the show, of course, at the contest, but you can do that in advance. Mm-hmm. That's really important. And nominations are open for the officers of the UPCA. So you can go to the website to find out more about that. And, you know, if you have an inkling that you're a better vice president than me, you can run against me. And I can retire after 6 years. No, I really love doing my job. But yes, if you think you are suited to be a great officer of the UPCA, we are always open to new people coming in. Either on the steering committee or running for office. You have to be a member of a qualifying pipe club that is an active UPCA member and has paid their dues. Other than that, the requirements are knowing how to run a volunteer board. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work. We really try to highlight throughout the year as we remember that nobody knows what we're doing. We try to come up with updates about all the crazy things that go on in the background. Our literal monthly calls and cycling through the membership meetings and the board meetings and the steering committee meetings, and it's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work. And anybody who comes into the new positions, I'm sure whoever ends up losing or stepping down or moving out of your way is happy to guide you through that process. And we've been through that with officers in the past, mm-hmm. and moving to the steering committee. And I guess actually a really good time to recognize that our president emeritus, Vernon Vig, has passed away. Without him, I wouldn't have had the guidance that I needed to have done this for 6 years. I mean, Doc has always been a big help too. But yeah, Vernon was a force, and it's a really unfortunate day when we announced that he is no longer the force behind the UPCA, just the founding member, RIP. Boy, I forgot I was going to bring that up. That got depressing. So we'll move straight on from that. That was all the announcements from IPSD. We got that all covered? All right.
Yep.
For the K-Woody Collector Corner, I will let you know that literally as this episode goes out, I will be doing the final 4 or 5 stages of a batch of about 100 K-Woody Smooths. And when I say smooths, I mean Berkshires too. Mm-hmm. Whatever is not sandblasted, even if it's partially rusticated. So there are some really sweet pipes. I'm not quite sure where they're going. They might go to another retailer. They might hit greywoodie.com. I'll figure that out come about the time you're listening to this. But obviously I'll follow up with where you can find those pipes. Besides some really fun stuff, there is what I believe is the very first K-Woody reverse calabash ever. I did a small run of those. None of them came into the nice finishes. They're all going to be Berkshires, just because none of them had perfectly clean stummels, and I don't like to upgrade just for the sake of doing so. But Eugene got to watch part of that and see some of what I did.
I did.
Completely re-engineering the process on stuff, K-Woody equipment that was never meant to do that. It was fun to engineer the chamber in those in both the stummel and in the stem. I extended the chamber into the tenon. It was a lot of fun, so look out for those. They have a wavy rim too, so super unique, and there are only a handful of those because they were an absolute nightmare, and it was really a test batch. I didn't know if I was even going to finish them, to be honest, but now they are very, very close to done. They're literally just waiting for stain, so I think they're actually going to get finished.
Sweet.
I had 2 topics to bring up today, as hinted at in the This Week On. First, it actually comes from one of our listeners and friends. Brian Levine wrote in to talk about the lacquer conversation that was happening probably during the Alan Kipp episode, letting us know that some of his favorite pipes are by a pipe maker who went by the name of Sato Smio, who unfortunately passed away in 2023. But Brian is a known collector of Sato's pipes, and he was a very big fan of using both bamboo, but also an urushi lacquer technique. So Sato worked for Tsuge Pipe, the Japanese pipe company, for 25 years before he retired. And he's not the first pipe maker in his family either, just the most renowned of them. So 25 years with Tsuge, and then once he retired, he was making around 40 pipes a year. He did tsui shoe inlays, as well as more traditional urushi lacquer layering. So I figured since Brian took the time to write in about that, we should talk about... I don't think at any point we were trying to put negativity on lacquer finishes. The negativity was to those who believe Danish oil is a magic snake oil.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it significantly in the past that Briar doesn't really breathe. And the fear of a hard finish on Briar is not a thing to be feared. Some of us don't like the way it looks. Some of us don't like the tendency of it to bubble if it's not done in the right way or if it's then smoked too hot. But a well-made pipe with a lacquer finish is a wonderful pipe. And a well-made pipe with a lacquer finish smoked at the right temperatures and carefully by an experienced pipe man is a wonderful combination. So I think it's good to go on the record saying there was never any negativity intended towards a lacquer finish, just the openness with the fact that those finishes are in fact a hard polymerized finish versus a simple oil technique. Because yes, actually another listener pointed out, Nate King talked about Danish oils being polymerized because natural oils, of course, have a tendency to go off.
Right.
So a pure oil finish isn't really a thing. There's oil curing, which is done before the finish, and a completely different thing. Tim Thorpe experimented with that. I got to play with the results of that. Oil curing is awesome, but it only really affects the smoke for like the first dozen bowls, and then it's right to a normal pipe. As far as a finish, yeah, a pure oil finish is going to get rancid eventually, one way or another. Yep. So a polymerized oil finish is what Danish oil really is, and a polymerized finish is a hard finish, like a lacquer, like a polyurethane, like any of those. Totally doable if you know what you're doing, and It's not going to hurt the briar in any way. We've seen it everywhere, people cutting their pipes in half after decades of smoking and seeing that the briar doesn't breathe. The tars don't go past like the 1/8 of an inch that is around the chamber.
Right.
So you can really put any finish you want on a pipe. How it holds up over time is one thing. I've seen a lot of different experimental finishes that look amazing early on and then later are really ugly.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I've done some of those myself. I mean, there are some NQAs that when I saw them in the customer's hand 5-6 years later, I was kind of embarrassed by, but that's how you make it as a pipe maker. You try things and some of them fail. And most of those customers kept coming back anyway. They knew something was experimental, or they knew it was something new I was trying or something that looked fun but might not work. You're like the king of experimenting with new finishes.
I am. It actually is quite distracting from actually getting anything done.
Yeah, from making other pipes.
So I would like to get to a point in Uncanny where I have like maybe like 4 or 5 like standards. And that's really hard to do when
shiny thing in the corner always distracts you. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the little thought in my head was like, oh, you should try this. And then that comes out better. And then you just kind of forget about the other ones. So really right now, all I have is like the Sea Witch.
Yeah, it's the one that stuck. But yeah, I see you. You're like, I'm going to do 3 pipes in this finish. And then you have 3 different finishes.
And I don't have confirmation on this yet as of this recording. But Missouri Meerschaum did receive a batch of Uncannies that have a lot of finishes that I think I want to make standard.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the pictures. Unfortunately, you sent them out before I got back over here, so I did not see them in person this time, but I saw photos. Yeah. They were really cool. Yeah, I would like if you honed in on some of those.
Whether they're going to be finishes that are standard just for Missouri Meerschaum, or if I'm going to carry them over into like the shows, I just don't know.
Yep.
But I was really pleased with a lot of new and interesting ideas that invaded my brain. This is the last batch.
So keep your eyes on that sweet new Briar department over at Missouri Meerschaum. Those pipes have landed, so we know they'll be there eventually. And you can get yourself some really sweet Uncannies.
Yep. Promise.
I don't know what you said hasn't been confirmed yet, though. That's what I was digging through in my brain. I'm like, what hasn't... They have them.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to have them posted by the time this comes out.
Okay.
That's what I don't...
The timing. Gotcha.
Right. They just received them today.
Yeah,
because
there's every
mail service in Missouri is real slow, and they do not update their tracking information. So the package was supposed to get there Tuesday. And what's today? Thursday?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's IPSD, which is also my son's birthday. Happy birthday, Jack. He had a good birthday, by the way.
Yeah, and thank you. This we weren't going to be doing this because it is your son's birthday, but it worked out that timing-wise that he was off to his other celebration, and we were able to pull it off. Yeah. You almost missed us entirely this week. Quite honestly, if it weren't for IPSD working out, I don't know if we were going to get an episode in. Which is why you get such a beautiful, short and sweet episode this week, which I think we owe you guys.
Yeah.
We've had some real epic ones, including the one we're about to upload that's another 2-hour episode. Just not a standard episode. That is a sharing of the UPCA's IPSD celebrations.
Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am half listening. This is... You're going to love this.
It's more important working on the YouTube channel so we can lose all our listeners.
No way.
No.
We're not losing listeners.
No, we're only gaining people. I'm only kidding.
Yep.
But for those who haven't been checking it out, Mrs. Some Jerk and Some Jerk have really continued putting in the work, and we've had some really awesome partially animated and working toward even more animated episodes up.
Yep, because we love it. I guess.
Yep. Like I've said before, though, don't expect us to suddenly embrace the YouTube pipe community. No. I respect the heck out of those people, but boy, do they spend a lot of time on videos and comment sections. And
you want to talk about time? I'm going to tell you about time right now. As soon as I get to the thing that shows you the time. So, Mrs. Some Jerk puts in the lion's share of editing, which is, I call it like puppeting, right? So like all the drawings I send her, she's the one that actually sits there and tries to time them with the audio.
Yep.
There's what I think I'm going to do going forward, because it is a lot of work, and is I'm probably going to make like a static image that's animated that just plays through, because we're noticing through the analytics on YouTube that the average view time of all these things that we put so many hours in seems to be about 4 minutes. So one person got back to me, posted a comment on the thing about the Alan episode and what's in it. And I laughed because one person out of like 80 views saw it. And it was because it was getting late. We wanted the Alan episode to come out, the YouTube video to come out in tandem with the podcast.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to make time. So me with my quick goat thinking, fix that.
Yeah.
So about 3/4 into it, I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't seen that yet.
You should look because you'll appreciate it and you'll understand immediately why it is what it is.
All right. Let me make sure I'm off the Bluetooth so it doesn't just... We don't need to play our episode while we're recording our episode, watching our episode. All right, so the newest...
So while you're looking for that, just to give you a little insight into what goes into these YouTube videos, just on my end, with
about
drawing...
3/4 in, you said?
Yeah. Just on my end, drawing time, total, I've put a day in. 24 hours worth of tracked time drawing for this. So, no, do I think that... I don't think that... YouTube is going to be the format that's preferred for our show.
No.
It's like a nice supplement. What we're trying to do is expose us to those people who are honestly like me. I listen to almost no podcasts at all. I go right to YouTube and I let things play.
Right.
There's a bunch of people out there like that. If you're looking for the Greywoodies Show on YouTube to be like a lot of the other shows, you're not going to get that.
Right.
Ever. Nathan and I are hideous.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any...
We talked about it. We've gone back and forth. And at the end of the day, and like today, I mean, yes, I was on camera today because of IPSD.
Right.
But I'm literally in my shop clothes. And I usually... People come over sometimes and laugh at me.
Right.
Because I get vulcanite dust on my hand. I itch my nose. I almost always have a black streak across my nose. It's just the beginning. We look like crap because we're in the shop making pipes until we're recording.
Right.
And I'm not, we don't want to have to go shower to record our episode when in reality we have just stepped out of the shop and more than likely are headed back into that shop. So it's not worth cleaning ourselves up.
No.
But yeah, it's opening the door to people, and if they find us on YouTube, maybe that's why. Maybe they listen for 4 minutes, realize that it's a fun visual component, but it's not necessarily making or breaking the show, and then they hop over to their podcast app the next time. I don't care how it happens. I'm just happy that we've opened a new door to a new audience. And it's fun because you guys are putting in a ton of work for, like you've mentioned, maybe little reward. Yeah,
no, we love it. It's great. It's anytime we can find something to do together.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yep.
And it's just really nice to have like those interests align and to sit there together till 2:00 in the morning, with headphones on, working on it. And trying to find the right tools to get the job done. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Right. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. The final topic we have, interestingly, talking to another one of our listeners, you guys saved me using this Alan Kipp episode. I could keep being really sick. I've been pretty under the weather. And this kind of comes to a listener suggesting that we be more open about it and explicit about it. A lot of our Discord listeners kind of know the struggles we go through. But it's not just us. Yeah. Pipe makers and even some of the other companies in the industry in general. It's the golden days of big pipe factories are coming to an end. Missouri Meerschaum still has their factory. Dr. Graybo still has a factory. But, one of the dirty secrets that I kept under wraps for a long time was Bill had actually shut the Kaywoodie factory down. He was moving into a tiny workshop and continuing to make thousands of pipes a year.
Yep.
So when I moved it to my house, I wasn't shutting down the factory. I was just taking the equipment he'd already moved out of the factory and moving it to my house. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us, artisan pipe makers and the production guys, we're working in really tough conditions. So I am in, because I had big plans before winter. The reality is everybody wanted a lot of pipes. And so every time I finished the batch of pipes, they were gone. And I had to make another batch and another batch. And so my plans for winter never happened. And so a 174-year-old factory, pipe factory, is really an uninsulated, unheated garage.
True story. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've frozen in it with you. It's something to behold for sure.
Yeah, with one torpedo-style heater keeping me going all day long and costing me...
It costs about $30 a day.
Yeah, I lose about a pipe a day keeping the shop running. Literally, almost all of the profits of an entire pipe every single day are going up in literal flame. Yep. So, and I'm not alone, Nate King's another one who talks about some of his shop conditions. You deal with the same kind of thing. So when people are like, hey, why aren't you guys making more pipes? Which, I mean, granted, I've been up and down, partially because of the weather, partially because of the insane number of shows I did, making sure everybody heard about the transition with K. Woody and getting my name out there. But I make more pipes than Bill some months, and then I've been a little under him other months. I think right now I'm averaging exactly what he was doing before I took over. Right. With the hope of it being more, but when people wonder why there aren't more pipes, why I don't suddenly make 300 or 400 a month instead of 1 or 2, it's because often it's conditions that get to me. And so we just went through... I had the flu for a week and a half that I thought would go away. I was knocked out for 4 days. And then when I got back in the shop, I got sick again because guess what? I hadn't recovered. I just felt better than I had before. And so I went right back into it, and I got like a good 4 days of work in before I felt like absolute crap again. And right now you can probably hear it in my voice a little bit. I'm at like 90%. But every time I go out in the shop for a long day and I come back inside and blow my nose, one of my eardrums ruptures again. So that's going really well for me. No, we push ourselves to do this, and the conditions are less than optimal. I hope by next winter that I will have remedied a lot of my issues, but... And the big but here is that you guys still want pipes. And so finding the weeks that I would need to rip out my floor and pour a new one and put up insulation and put up walls and paint them and add the, outside the wall wiring that I need and moving some. So like I had moved my shop to the basement for a while when it was a smaller handmade shop. And so some of my stuff is still down there, and I still have to bounce around between those shops. So finding the time to move all of that back out to the garage, making pipes ends up taking the priority on all of this. And so that never gets done. And your shop has been the same thing. I've watched you have a big shop and then it shrinks down due to people moving into the house and changes in where you want things, and then expanding it again only to have the space taken up, and then having grand ideas to move things around, and then realizing that, but you can use them right now. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you try to move them, you can't be using them anymore.
Right.
It's a never-ending battle, and I think our listener was smart to say, like, hey, have you ever thought about telling your listeners that you guys like actually kill yourselves to do this? And I think it is important that people understand that's where we're coming from. So suddenly ramping up our production for anybody is not that easy. And in this world where good luck finding actual factory space. I mean, if I'm brutally honest, that's what had happened to K. Woody. He actually got evicted from that space because they wanted a higher paying, he had Tesla next door to him. They don't want, two dudes in a shop because he still had Alex then. It was Bill and Alex running the filter machine, and Bill making pipes. And so the landlords come out and they see that and go, we have like 30 people working in the facility right next door to him. I bet you we could get another company like that and triple the rent.
Yep.
So that's where that's going. And, as we talked about with Leonard, while we want the health of the industry to remain, and we are getting new pipe smokers, they don't smoke as much all the time. And so while tobacco sales are sometimes down, at times so are pipe sales. And so if we're making less money and working alone, it's really hard to have big spaces, and it's hard to justify the cost of a giant space for that. And well, for me, I don't like leaving home. I'm like legitimately a hermit now. So I wouldn't even want to have an outside facility because then I'd have to drive there and see other people on my way. Right now, I see my family. I turn on the heat, give it a couple minutes, and I go outside and I work. And I'm alone all day. Thank God for podcasts. The only reason this podcast exists is because I got way too into podcasts and discovered that in working alone all the time, I started talking to myself and losing my mind. So other people's voices in my ear really helped me get through that.
Yep.
I'm not much better. I'm still really crazy, but but now I get to rant to you guys about how crazy I am, and it's less crazy somehow.
Yep.
Eugene learns to just tune it out when I start going off on too many tangents.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you listen too closely, and then it's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, if you're ever wondering why there aren't more K-Woodies and more Uncannies and more Nate Kings and, the list goes on, we're all dealing with different sets of circumstances, but none of them are the glory days of 40 people making your pipes for you.
Right. Yeah, those days. Yeah. I mean, probably at Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Even Savinelli, but really,
even those, the workforce has shrunk. I've heard it from a number of people that they still have more people than us, but it's never what you think it's going to be walking in there.
I know you don't like it, but that's why we got to get these kids smoking pipes. Man.
I know.
Otherwise, we're going to be making vapes. And I don't know how to make a vape.
No.
Nor do I think I really want to. I mean, I enjoy a good vape. But I think I
think the Chinese are perfectly good at making those for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't need to take that up.
Nope.
Well, I don't know. That was maybe a depressing show. It wasn't meant to be depressing.
I don't think it's depressing. I think that it's something that people need to consider, especially if, those folks waiting on pipes on Greywoody or waiting for the day that I ever decide to post anything on Uncanny again.
On Uncanny, yeah.
This time of year, especially for me, is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I always, when we close up the cave and I'm like, all right, I got all winter to get stuff done, I'm like whooped.
Yep.
And then it gets really cold. And then everything costs way more than it ever did, ever. And you really have to balance out, well, are you going to buy a new hoodie, like an insulated hoodie, or are you going to buy some fuel for your heater?
Yeah. And that's, so it's funny. I sidetracked with how sick I've been, but part of the reason I've been so sick is that we've had weeks of below zero temperatures here, both of us.
Yeah, it's too much.
Like this morning alone, the temperature was above zero for once, but the real feel was 10 below, and we're both on the sides of mountains, so that doesn't help us any. And then last week or early this week, the wind.
Oh, it was this week.
Insane.
It was like we went up to where Jen works because they're on break right now. I went up to help her get some classroom stuff in order, and it was so windy that we had to postpone that a day.
Yeah,
because we weren't leaving, and then the next day we were going to go back and we couldn't.
Yep.
my furnace hasn't stopped running.
Mm-hmm.
I got to check oil level soon. I mean, though I can probably get away with working in a cold shop. And then I cannot get away with living in a freezing cold house.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody that we just talked to today or talked on the Zoom call, so there's like 37 degrees in their house with their heat on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's way worse where they are than where we're at. But like right now, it's 11 degrees out. And
yeah, and it's funny you say budgeting. It literally, it does come down to, can I afford to put more heat in the shop, or can I afford to buy more clothes to layer further?
Right.
And the end result is none of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the really windy day was really bad. So we had like 40-mile-an-hour winds. So my shop didn't matter. The heat didn't matter. Right. That torpedo was running the entire time, and the temperature was only going up a couple degrees.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm good. I can get away with a lot, but anytime I'm on the buffing wheel, it creates another 20-mile-an-hour wind around it. So I was trying to get these pipes done, actually. And I was like, okay, I'm on the last. I was like buffing out some stems before staining, just to make sure it's easier to see the scratches if you do a little pre-buff like that. So I was knocking that out, and my wife and daughter had something going on, so they left, and I felt bad asking them to get me some more kerosene. So I was like, oh, I checked the tank this morning. It looks like it's good. And then about an hour before they came home, the heat finally ran out, and I only had about an hour's worth of work left. So I was like, I'm just going to keep working. Well, it was on the buffing wheel, and that was stupid, because they got home and my hands were completely purple. I couldn't feel my fingertips.
Nuts, right?
Yep. But I didn't want to leave that last 45 minutes or an hour of work to the next day when I had heat again, because now I've lost a huge chunk of the end of my evening. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, that is pretty amazing and disturbing at the same time. I love it.
Well, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't.
You guys are in for a treat.
Oh. Yeah, I do it because I love it.
Yeah. I think there's one part of that animation that is phenomenal.
Yep. Did that for you. Talking about goats. When I showed Mrs. Sumjerk what I had done earlier.
Yeah.
She said, do male goats have udders? And I was like, no. And I'm going to pull the veil back a little bit. I was like, because the gray woody goat is a girl.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a girl. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, it's a girl.
Yep.
So now you know.
Yeah. I was painting a female goat when I did that. So, yeah.
Yep.
It's always been female. And I didn't really think about it. It just was.
What was that goat's name?
I think that one was Millie.
Millie?
Yeah, I think it was Millie.
Nice.
It's hard. It was 6 years ago. Man,
it's a good name for a goat.
Yep.
Millie.
Yeah, all of our goats were actually named things out of the Hitchhiker's Guide. Mm-hmm. So they all had Douglas Adams reference names, and Millie was Millie Ways.
Yep. Well, now you know. When you see that goat, her name's Millie.
Yep.
R.I.P. Millie. R.I.P. Fun.
We didn't eat that one. She died of natural causes.
That happens.
We don't tend to name the ones we eat.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we did. So they were all named the same thing. If they were meant to be eaten, they were all named the same thing. They named the name of the cow that they eat in the show. That's a show too. But yeah, there was at the restaurant they bring out an animal, and that's what they're gonna eat. So we named them all the same thing, and I can't remember now.
It's okay.
A little burned out.
I don't remember anything. Oh yeah, it's been a night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I promised my family that I'd be home in like a little over an hour. We were just going to knock out that Zoom call. Yeah. And, now it's, I don't even want to look. A long time after that.
Yep.
But it's been fun.
Yeah. So working on this this project here. I do like animation.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of work. I could probably lose like years of my life like perfecting it. And I always notice that there's something else just to give
Always
it that little
one more.
extra, right?
Yeah.
I really need to learn my limit.
Yeah.
Meaning like
Gotta step away at some point.
The extra might not be ultimately worth it. Right?
You might be the only one who ever notices it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So I just hope that people seeing this stuff just really appreciates the work that's going into
I'm sure they do.
So I use Procreate, and Procreate actually has another program called Procreate Dreams that's just for animation.
Okay.
I did download that. I have not used that yet.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying like the jankiness of it.
Right.
And yeah, that's just where my headspace and focus is right now because it's fun.
Sweet.
The end.
Yeah. Quite literally the end. I think we've put together a good episode for you. A nice short week. Thank you, Rob, for the tobacco. This FVF is absolutely wonderful.
Yep.
I'm going to smoke it the rest of my way home because it's snowing again. And that's always fun.
Right.
Yeah, we had cold temperatures today, but fine weather until the second Eugene goes, all right, I got it worked out. We're going to do this here. Mm-hmm. And then it dumped snow right before I left my house.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh, welcome to the world.
Out in Albany all day.
Yeah.
Running around for Jack's birthday, for his birthday. 16th birthday, he wanted food from a bunch of his favorite places. So we drove to Chili's on Wolf Road.
Nice.
Got him his mozzarella sticks that are coated in Nashville hot sauce.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then we met him and his mom at the food court. Mm-hmm. And then it was like scrambling around to get him all the components of all he ate. That kid ate about 8,000 calories today. And I just had to remind him, I was like, you don't have to eat it all now. You can save it for later. And he's like, oh, yeah. I should probably do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's rail thin. Won't hurt him to have a crazy excess calorie day.
I know. And like Popeyes has a Nashville hot nugget thing. Mm. And right on the board, it says it's like 1,200 calories for like 6 of them.
Jeez.
I was like, man, that's awesome. And we always just get China Max. Mm-hmm. And I learned something today. I figured something out. If you go to the food court at the mall and there's a China Max, they got you after you go 3 times. Mm. So if you go to China Max 3 times, because I like Charlie's cheesesteaks and stuff, once you eat China Max 3 times in a row, that's all you'll ever eat at a food court.
Yep.
That's all you'll ever want.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I instantly walk into a food court and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, they get you with the samples. Mm-hmm. The delicious orange chicken. It's crazy. It's like crack.
Yeah.
It's good. And you know what else is good? Saying goodbye. So goodbye.
Goodbye.